Revealed. The incredible moment a beggar girl asks for a daddy uncover the millionaire's life-changing decision. In the bustling heart of the city, where every face had a story and the air buzzed with life, Mia scoured the community park for leftover morsels. She was no ordinary little girl. She carried a world of dreams in her tiny, hopeful heart. Dreams of family dinners filled with laughter, warm homes, and bedtime stories that didn't pause for fear. That afternoon, as she rummaged through a half-empty dumpster, she stumbled upon him. Jack. Dressed in a tailored suit, he radiated success from every angle. He looked like a king among the pawns, striding confidently, surrounded by children whose laughter echoed with pure joy. For a fleeting moment, the burdens of the world melted away, and Mia felt a spark of something strange hope. With her heart pounding, she mustered the courage to walk up to Jack. Her small frame seemed dwarfed by the tall businessman, but there was an undeniable light in her eyes. "Excuse me?" she stammered, glancing down as if the ground might swallow her words. "Could you be my daddy?" It was a simple request, yet it packed an emotional punch that left both of them reeling. The world around them fell silent, and Jack felt a tug on his heartstrings, a feeling he hadn't experienced in years, perhaps ever. Jack's polished world suddenly felt shallow. He had dedicated his life to corporate success, money, and accolades. Yet this child's plea uncovered a hunger that no amount of wealth could satiate. Uncertainty loomed heavy as Mia's innocent words hung in the air. Would reaching out to this little girl be a step toward something real, or just a dangerous dive into a world he barely understood? Her mother found out about the encounter later that day. Anger spilled from her like a broken dam, her frustrations pushed by years of hiding pain under barbed wires of addiction and survival. "How dare you ask him that? You think he can fix our lives with money?" she shouted, her face twisted in a cocktail of rage and sorrow. "What do you know about real life?" Jack stood nearby, witnessing a raw moment unfold. The exchange echoed the familiar divide of privilege and struggle, awakening the deeper scars of survival ingrained within Mia's mother. The uncomfortable truth hit him: he had been blind to the complexities of the lives around him. His luxury felt like a chainsaw in an art gallery. Loud, abrasive, and out of place. In his desire to help, Jack wrote a check, believing it would soothe Mia's pain. But as he extended the paper, her gaze dropped to the ground, disappointment flooding her tiny features. The realization sank in: Mia didn't need money. She needed love, connection, and the warmth of family he could never provide through a simple gesture. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Jack found himself at a crossroads, pondering the weight of societal responsibility against the romantic notion of self-reliance. His life of success suddenly felt chaotic and unreasonable. He had to confront this distressing reality that Mia's world was akin to a storm-torn city, while his own was a pristine office tower, untouched and isolated from the chaos. How far was Jack willing to go to truly understand Mia? Would he break down his barriers and engage in a world that needed not just money, but genuine connection? As the weight of community pain settled into Jack's heart, the very thought of stepping beyond the glossy facade of corporate life pulled him toward a path filled with uncertainty. Would compassion be enough to transform despair into healing? With deep breaths and furrowed brows, the stakes rose, leaving us all wondering what Jack would choose next. Jack stood there, his heart racing as he watched Mia's small figure retreat beneath the weight of disappointment, her dreams crashing like autumn leaves in a storm. Muffled laughter echoed from a nearby playground, a reminder of the carefree joy he'd once taken for granted. He clenched his fists, feeling the frustration boil within him. The girl only wanted a connection, love, a sense of belonging. It dawned on him that money couldn't buy what mattered most. Driven by a whirlwind of emotions, Jack found himself walking to the park the next day, determined to face Mia again. He was nervous, unsure of how to bridge the divide between their lives. As he approached, he spotted her sitting alone on a bench, her unkempt hair falling into her eyes. The moment felt surreal. The little girl he barely knew held onto a piece of his heart like no one else ever had. "Mia?" he called softly, taking a cautious step closer. She looked up, uncertainty shadowing her face. "What do you want?" He swallowed hard, the words sticking in his throat. "I want to talk to you. About what you said yesterday." Mia's gaze darted away, her small hands gripping the edge of the bench. "You don't have to. My mom was right. You can't fix what's broken." Jack felt a stab of hurt. "I don't want to fix anything, Mia. I want to understand, why did you ask me to be your daddy?" She hesitated, exploring the ground with her eyes. "I thought you could take me somewhere nice, where it doesn't hurt to be hungry. I just want to be a part of something." His heart tightened in response to her words, as if she had just peeled away layers of his own guarded heart. "Do you live in a really big house?" she interrupted, vulnerability dripping from her tone. The innocence in her question wrapped around him like a delicate thread, binding them together. "Yeah, I do," he replied almost automatically, wondering with a pang of guilt if she equated big houses with happiness. Mia's eyes brightened slightly. "Do you have a family?" she whispered. Jack shifted uncomfortably, feeling the weight of a truth he wasn't prepared to reveal. "Not anymore. It's just me." Silence fell between them, heavy and thick with unspoken understanding. Here was a little girl wishing for a place to call home, and a man longing for meaning. With a slight shake of her head, Mia seemed to read the unspoken sadness in his admission and gave a small, wry smile, a glimpse of resilience. "Maybe we could help each other," she said unexpectedly. "We could be friends." Jack felt an unexpected warmth spread through him. A friend? That simple thought offered a connection he had starved for, and he nodded slowly. "I'd like that." With hesitation still lacing her movements, Mia took a step closer, her little hands reaching out. Jack instinctively knelt to her level, feeling the barriers of their worlds begin crumbling away. "Really?" she asked, hope sparkling in her eyes. "Really," he confirmed with sincerity, feeling the stirrings of something profound within him. As they stood together there, two souls seemingly worlds apart, a bond began to weave between them, something that could fill the emptiness in their hearts. But even in that moment of connection, Jack knew this was just the beginning. What would becoming friends truly mean? How far would he go to keep her safe and help her find her way? Questions loomed larger than ever, pushing Jack toward the edge of a long untraveled road. His heart raced at the thought of stepping into a world so unlike his own. What would the next steps look like? Would embracing Mia's reality change everything for both of them? Jack took a breath, feeling the weight of the moment settle around him. Mia stood there, her small fingers brushing against his sleeve, as if she were testing the waters of trust. He felt an overwhelming urge to protect her, to shield her from the hurts she had faced. For the first time in a long while, he didn't want to retreat into his solitary life. "What do friends do, anyway?" Mia asked, breaking the silence. A smile twitched at the corners of Jack's mouth. "Well, they hang out together, share secrets, and have fun." "Fun?" Her eyes widened, curiosity replacing some of her nervousness. "Yeah. Would you like to do something fun?" he asked, a spark of excitement lighting up in him as well. "Like what?" She tilted her head, her innocence crackling with anticipation. "How about ice cream?" he suggested, the simplest offer turning monumental in his mind. The idea felt fresh and nerve-wracking, yet exhilarating, like the first warm breeze of spring. "Really?" Mia's eyes sparkled like stars. "Can we get sprinkles?" "Of course, sprinkles and whipped cream," he chuckled, feeling the heaviness in his heart lift just a little. Mia beamed, and before he could second-guess himself, he extended his hand toward her. She looked at it, then back up at him, this little girl searching for reassurance. When she finally took his hand, it felt as though they had crossed an invisible threshold. Together, they walked toward the park exit, Mia's small movements quickening as she caught sight of the ice cream truck in the distance. Over the sound of bells jingling, he could feel the energy of her excitement radiate into him. It was contagious. They reached the truck, and he realized he had been so consumed by thoughts of their differences that he hadn't anticipated how simple joy could resonate between them. Jack pointed at the vibrant options, leaning down to make the selection easier. "What do you want?" he asked, his heart pounding with anticipation of her choice. "Chocolate, with sprinkles," she exclaimed, grinning widely. They stood side by side, the sun shining brightly overhead, illuminating the moment in a golden hue. Watching Mia's face light up when she received her treat sent a warmth coursing through him, a reminder of simpler days in childhood. "What do you want?" she asked once more, glancing up as she savored her first bite. "Honestly, just to see you smile," he answered, surprised at the honesty. He was becoming achingly aware of how much he meant it. "Then we're friends already," she said through a mouthful of chocolate, laughter spilling freely out of her. Jack chuckled, a genuine sound that felt foreign yet right. Maybe friendship didn't require explanations or circumstances. Maybe it could be pure, detached from adult complications. As they sat on a nearby bench, watching other children run and play, Jack reflected on the shifting landscape of his life. Mia was right. They were woven into each other's stories now. There was a fragile beauty in that certainty. But deep in his heart, a whisper of doubt lingered. Would their connection hold up? And what would happen when the outside world crept back in, reminding them of everything they wanted to outrun? The enjoyable laughter of children surrounded them, yet a shadow of uncertainty lay ahead. What hurdles would arise in their newfound friendship? And could Jack give Mia the security she sought without risking the walls he'd built around his own heart? As he took another look at her, a mix of hope and apprehension tightened in his chest. Could they navigate this journey together? Or would the realities they faced tear them apart before they even had a chance to flourish? The ice cream truck faded into the background as the sun started to dip low in the sky, casting a soft glow on everything around them. Jack watched Mia, her small hands busy with the melting chocolate cone. Each lick sent drips cascading down the sides, but she didn't care. This was a moment filled with sweetness, not just from the ice cream, but from a blossoming friendship. "Do you think other kids have as much fun as we're having?" Mia asked, her innocent curiosity tugging at Jack's heartstrings. "Probably, but I think we're having a special kind of fun," he said, and he meant it. There was something different about today, a lightness in the air that felt like the beginning of something beautiful. The park was buzzing with life. Parents laughing, kids running, dogs barking. Yet amidst that chaos, it felt like he and Mia were in their own little world. He couldn't help but wonder what made her the way she was. Her laughter felt like music, sweet and unpretentious, and it stirred something deep within him. Seeing her so happy, so unguarded, made him want to be better. Not just for her but for himself too. "Can I tell you a secret?" she suddenly asked, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. Jack nodded, intrigued. "I've never really had a friend before," she confessed in a hush, her eyes darting around, as if she feared someone might overhear. "What do you mean?" Jack asked gently. "I mean, I don't have anyone to play with. Just my mom doesn't let me go out a lot." Her words hung in the air like an unfinished puzzle, pieces scattered around but not fitting together just yet. His heart ached at the vulnerability in her admission. "I'm glad you're my friend, Mia. Maybe we can hang out more often?" "Yes, that would be great." Her enthusiasm reignited the warmth inside him, the kind that people chase in fleeting moments but often forget to linger in. Jack couldn't help but smile at her joy, though part of him wanted to shield her from whatever was happening behind the scenes of her life. They moved to chase a few playful kids running by, laughing and making silly faces at the nearby park fountain, where the water danced under the fading light. Mia jumped up and down, trying to catch the spray, each splash making her giggle like the sound of wind chimes dancing in spring. "What if I made your ice cream?" she shouted over the fountains, her face lit up with excitement. "Wait, what? You can make ice cream?" Jack teased, a small laugh escaping. "Definitely. With sprinkles, And lots of flavors. I could be your assistant, she declared, arms wide as if she were already in a chef's outfit. And I bet you'd be the best assistant ever, he mused, feeling lighter. The moment was perfect, a snapshot of pure happiness. But Jack's thoughts raced ahead, clouds gathering at the edges of his mind. He needed to carve out more time with Mia and delve deeper into her life. Part of him feared what darkness could surface, a past she might be hiding, or difficulties yet to reveal themselves. As they wandered back toward the park entrance, Mia's laughter echoing beside him like music he never wanted to end. He couldn't shake the feeling that while they were stepping forward, there were invisible walls still looming. Then, as they approached the fountain again, a flicker of hesitation crossed Mia's face. It was as if she sensed something unspoken in the air. "What's wrong?" Jack asked gently. I hope we can stay friends forever," she said suddenly, her voice trembling slightly. Forever felt like a heavy word. Jack's stomach twisted as uncertainty loomed again. "I want that too, Mia. But would that wish hold when life pulled them in different directions?" Just then, a distant shout broke through their moment. A family was gathered around a display of balloons at the park entrance, the vibrant colors fluttering, each one representing a dream or a wish. Jack turned to Mia, uncertainties momentarily forgotten. "Want to go see the balloons?" Her eyes lit up again, but he couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to change. Could this be the turning point, or just another fleeting moment in time? As they rushed toward the light and colors, Jack's heart raced with both hope and dread. He wasn't ready to lose this connection, but how much longer could they ignore the shadows lurking just out of sight? Mia tugged at his hand, pulling Jack towards the colorful display of balloons. Each one bobbed gently in the light breeze, shining like promises waiting to be fulfilled. The vibrant yellows, blues, reds, and greens danced in the air, creating a whimsical world that felt almost magical. "Look at those," Mia exclaimed, her eyes wide with wonder. She pointed at a particularly large balloon shaped like a puppy, its glossy surface shimmering under the fading sun. Jack couldn't help but smile at her excitement, feeling a warmth radiate through the air. "Let us get one," Mia suggested, her voice bubbling with eagerness. "Okay, which one do you want?" he asked, trying to keep the mood light, though the edges of his mind were still sharp with worry. "Definitely the puppy," she chirped, her face lighting up like a sparkler. Jack nodded, but a part of him hesitated. Just a few moments before, they had been on the cusp of something deeper, and now they were being swept away by the cheerful chaos of the park. He wanted to stay in that moment of connection, but he couldn't resist her joy. They approached the family at the balloon stand, and Jack fished out a couple of crumpled dollar bills from his pocket. As he handed them over, he caught the glance of the vendor, a kind-eyed woman who smiled warmly at Mia. "Which one will it be?" the vendor asked, her voice soft and inviting. "Mister, can I have the puppy, please?" Mia's excitement was contagious as she clamped her tiny fingers onto the string of the balloon once it was handed over. Her laughter rang out, pure and uninhibited, and Jack felt his heart burst a little with happiness. "Great choice," Jack said, as Mia beamed up at him. But in that instant of happiness, he noticed the subtle shift in her expression again. She stared at the balloon, still clutched tightly in her hand, and Jack could see that the joy was tinged with something else, something more profound. "What's on your mind now?" Jack asked, kneeling down to her level. Her expression was somewhere between sweet elation and a hint of worry. "It's just balloons fly away, right?" she said softly, a flicker of doubt crossing her features. "What if this one goes away too?" His heart twisted in his chest. Mia's words weren't just about that balloon, they were a window into her vulnerabilities. "Sometimes they fly away, but you know what? We can always get more. And even when they're gone, we still have the memories of seeing them." Mia looked up at him, her big eyes searching his face for reassurance. "Do you promise?" "I promise," he said, willing his voice to be steady even as unease crept in. "As long as we're friends, I'll make sure you have what you need." Her face brightened, but Jack couldn't shake the feeling that he was teetering on a cliff's edge. Just then, a loud crash sliced through the moment. A group of teenagers nearby had knocked over a display of plastic chairs, laughter erupting as they gathered their friends and scrambled to fix the mess. The sudden chaos seemed to split the air, pulling Jack's focus sharply away from Mia. The sparkle in her eyes dimmed for a moment as she observed the scene. Jack glanced back and felt a complex knot of emotions tightening again. He wanted to protect her, to shelter her emotions from the chaotic world around them. But as they watched the teenagers reclaim their fun, a thought struck him. Would he always be able to be there for her? What if life turned chaotic in their own lives, grounding them down paths they couldn't control? Mia, before the sun sets completely, let us grab one more balloon. He didn't know why, but it felt urgent. Her face lit up again, and the clouds of doubt were brushed aside. Can we get one for you too? He hesitated just long enough for the anxious echoes in his mind to surface. All right, if you pick one for both of us. The excitement took over as they pointed at balloon after balloon, their laughter intertwining. And in that moment, part of Jack felt as though they were building something beautiful, something that could last. Yet beneath the noise, a simple truth echoed quietly. How long would they be able to hold onto their dreams in the face of whatever life had waiting for them? As evening shadows stretched out around them, glancing at the fading light, Jack made a silent vow to unravel the threads woven in Mia's life, whatever it took. He didn't know if he was ready for the journey ahead, but as Mia squeezed his hand, he felt the weight of every fleeting moment solidify into hope. Then, a bright flash caught his attention. An older boy in a baseball cap let go of a red balloon, and they both turned to watch it soar high above the trees. Look, maybe it'll find its forever place, Mia said, her laughter ringing with pure joy. Maybe it will, Jack murmured, but even answering her felt complicated. As the last rays of sunlight painted the park, he knew they were standing on a threshold, poised between innocent laughter and the heavier truths that lay ahead. Just like that balloon, how far could they rise before being pulled back down? With a lump in his throat, Jack prepared for what might come next. Could he really guard her heart against the world? And as they shared one last look at the rising balloon, a whisper of fear and hope emerged in Jack's mind. What would it take for them to soar without losing themselves? Mia tugged gently on Jack's sleeve, her gaze glued to the colorful sky. The last remnants of daylight spilled a golden hue across everything. Jack felt her small hand warm in his, a lifeline as they navigated through a sea of laughter and noise. Look at the colors, she said, her voice filled with marvel. It's like the balloons are dancing on their own. Jack smiled and glanced up. The balloons, bright and full of life, seemed to sway with the breeze. Yet, as beautiful as they were, each shift reminded him of everything uncertain. What if they started to pop? Mia asked, her eyes still on the fading colors. Her words struck Jack like a sharp wind. It wasn't just about the balloons. She was grappling with more than just a fear of them bursting. Mia, he started, unsure of how to address what loomed between them. Sometimes things pop, but that doesn't mean they weren't special before, right? She turned to him, the question lingering in her eyes. But they can also float away forever, can't they? His pulse quickened. She was just a little girl, yet she carried worries much older than her years. Things may fly away, he said tentatively, but memories stay with us, like the time we laughed at the puppies or made wishes those never really fade. She nodded, the resolute shift in her expression warming his heart. He wished to protect that heart, shield it from the looming gravity of loss and change. But how? Just then, her balloon tugged on the string, nearly slipping from her fingers. Oh! Mia squeaked instinctively, and Jack reflexively tightened his grip around her hand. His heart raced as he watched Mia's small body tense. Would fear command this moment, too? It's okay. I've got it. Jack gently reassured her, catching a glimpse of the vibrant puppy balloon. Balloons can be tricky sometimes. Huh? Her smile returned, albeit gently, like a flower leaning toward the sun after the rain. Can we go to the swings? She asked, her voice still laced with a quiver, but filled with hope. Sure. Let us go. He led her away from the colors of the balloon stand as they made their way to the swings. The creaking sound of metal and the rhythmic whoosh of the swings were comforting, reminding him of simpler times. As Mia swung higher, she let out gleeful laughter that blended with the joyous ambience. Jack pushed her gently, but his thoughts wandered, back to the promise he had made. How far would that promise stretch? What lay ahead in their messy world? Mia, he said, his voice firming up as he thought aloud. Do you ever wish for something you can't have? Her swinging slowed, feet skimming the grass, and she tilted her head in thought. I wish sometimes I could have the biggest balloon and go up, up, up to touch the clouds. Would it make you happy? Yeah. But I'd be scared I would fall. Jack felt a pang in his chest. Sometimes you have to let go of the fear and trust the fall. A deep silence bloomed between them, thoughtful. Will you be there if I do? She asked, her voice barely a whisper. Always, he said without a second thought, the resolve rising in him. But even as he promised that, the weight of the world felt heavier. As dusk settled, shadows danced around them, flickering like memories yet to be made. Mia laughed again, taking in the colors around her, lost in the joy of the moment. Jack joined in, but he felt the urgency of time slipping, like sand through fingers. What had begun as a simple day of laughter was now tethered to deeper currents. He held on to the hope they could face whatever was ahead, but what if his strength faltered? Mia leaped off the swing, rushing towards him with her puppy balloon bobbing gracefully behind. Look, she called. Let us make a wish. Okay. He replied, ridding himself of the doubts, embracing her simple joy for now. They raised their hands to the sky as if reaching for stars. But in that moment, Jack realized something more significant lay ahead. Wishes come at a price, he thought. As they closed their eyes tight, he silently hoped he could keep both her dreams and his own afloat. Opening her eyes, Mia said, What did you wish for? Caught off guard, Jack fumbled with an answer. I wish to always be your friend. But as he spoke, the truth wrinkled beneath the surface. How long could that last? As they walked back, hand in hand, he felt the weight of his unspoken fears shadowing them. Each step forward felt precarious. What awaited them beyond this moment of innocence and laughter? The laughter began to fade as they approached the car parked on the edge of the fairgrounds. The sun dipped lower, its final rays casting a warm glow over everything. Jack watched Mia's heart-shaped face light up with every delighted squeal from the rides around them, and it tugged at his heart. He felt a simultaneous joy and heaviness, an odd mixing of hope and dread. Do you think we'll come back next weekend? Mia asked, her enthusiasm palpable. She had a way of making everything sound like the best idea ever. Of course. There's plenty more to see, Jack replied, even as a part of him questioned the certainty of that promise. They climbed into the car, and the metallic scent of the interior mixed with the sweet smell lingering from their cotton candy treat. Mia chattered away, her imagination weaving stories that painted the silence with strokes of vibrant color. Jack smiled, nodding along, but couldn't shake off the shadow creeping further into his mind. As he backed out of the parking space, his grip tightened on the steering wheel. Mia, he said, hesitating as he tried to find words. What if we couldn't come back for a while? Mia turned to him, her big eyes widening. You mean like the balloons? They could fly away? Jack didn't answer immediately. He focused on the road ahead, trying to compartmentalize his fears. No, not like that. Just life can get a little busy, you know? She nodded solemnly, still clutching her balloon. I would miss you. His heart clenched. That simple statement carried the weight of 1,000 unexplainable feelings. I would miss you too, Mia. More than you know. As they drove, the images around them began to blur, streetlights flickering alive as darkness settled. Jack's thoughts turned inward, drowning again in uncertainty. He had taken on a lot being a father figure, being there for Mia, and sometimes it felt like an impossible task. Suddenly, Mia spoke softly. Jack, do you think I could have a real dad one day? The question hit him like a bolt of lightning, shocking him into the present. He glanced at her from the corner of his eye, seeing the vulnerable innocence in her expression. What do you mean, honey? Like, someone who stays and doesn't go away? she whispered, and the simple truth of her words left him speechless. He fought against the wave of emotions washing over him. "Mia, I'm not going anywhere, I promise." But even as he spoke, a cold fear tightened in his chest. He wanted nothing more than to shield her from the pain and loss that came with the harsh realities of life. "Just what if?" Mia pressed, her voice small. "What if you met someone really nice? Someone who could be my dad?" He felt like he was choking on his own words. "I don't know," he finally managed, the honesty spilling out between them. A lump formed in his throat. "You're important to me. You always will be." Mia was quiet for a long time, pondering her thoughts. "Would you still be my friend?" she eventually asked, as if she needed reassurance amidst the uncertainty. Jack's heart broke a little more. "Always, Mia. I'll always be your friend." But would that be enough if change swept through their lives like a sudden storm? The car fell into a solemn quiet, broken only by the hum of the engine. The road ahead grew darker, twisting into unknown territory, and with it, their dreams felt even more fragile. When they finally arrived home, Mia clutched her balloon tightly. "Let us keep making wishes," she said shyly. Jack smiled but sensed the hollow echo of her question, still lingering between them, the haunting what if. As they stepped into the fading evening light, he couldn't help but wonder about the future they faced. Would their wishes collide with reality? Would they remain steadfast in the storm? Determined not to let doubt take root, he reached for Mia's hand. "Let us make our wishes together, all right?" Her face lit up, and together they stepped into the warmth of their cozy home. But as they crossed the threshold, Jack knew the path ahead would lead them down twists they couldn't yet foresee. Could they withstand whatever awaited them, together, as their hopes danced like the balloons against the encroaching darkness? The little house creaked as they settled in, the familiar sounds wrapping around them like a comforting blanket. Jack led Mia to the living room, where the glow of the evening light poured in through the window, casting a soft haze over their makeshift kingdom of cushions and toys. "Can you help me with a wish?" Mia asked, her hand reaching for the frayed edges of a blanket. "Of course," Jack replied, slipping beside her on the couch. "What do you want to wish for?" She sighed as if the weight of the world rested on her small shoulders. I want our life to stay the same, forever." The gravity of her words settled heavy in the air. Jack could feel the warmth of her body against his, but inside, uncertainty roiled like a storm. "Forever is a long time, Mia. Things change, you know? But I don't want them to change," she insisted, her voice firm yet tinged with vulnerability. "I just want you and me and our good times like the fair, but every day." Jack felt his heart twist. "I want that too. But life has a way of surprising us, sometimes in ways we don't expect." He was trying to be honest, but the truth stung like bittersweet honey. Mia looked up, her eyes shimmering with emotion. "But what if surprise is good? What if it's like finding a surprise candy in your pocket?" He chuckled softly, grateful for her whimsical spirit. "You might be right. Sometimes surprises can be sweet." "Then, let us wish for sweet surprises," she exclaimed, her voice picking up enthusiasm. "What do you think?" Jack took a deep breath, wanting to give her everything. "All right, let us wish for sweet surprises. But we have to keep making them happen together." Mia nodded, her delight contagious. They closed their eyes, hands clasped tightly, and Jack imagined a bright future with laughter and love, a world brimming with joy. 1, 2, 3. Wish. Mia giggled, then released her grip when she opened her eyes. "I can almost see it." As the evening wore on, they started a game, sharing memories that made them laugh, like the time Mia accidentally colored the cat with markers. Jack couldn't help but smile at the way her eyes sparkled with innocence and joy. But as they continued, the reality of their situation loomed just beyond the cozy bubble they despun. The thought of potential change haunted Jack. What if the sweetness of their lives was threatened? What if their surprises didn't all come wrapped in ribbons and bows? He glanced out the window. Stars blinked brightly against the dark blanket of the sky. In that moment, he remembered one thing. Mia needed him, and he couldn't allow fear of change to dim the light they shared. "Mia, I want you to remember something," Jack said, his voice steady from the newfound resolve. No matter what happens, we'll figure it out together. You and me. Okay. Okay. She chirped, flinging herself into his arms. You're the best. He held her tight, wishing desperately that he could shield her from all the uncertainties life might bring. The weight of responsibility sat heavy on his heart. But in that moment, surrounded by the warmth of her small frame, he felt a wave of courage wash over him. Just then, the ringing phone broke the silence, jarring Jack from his reflection. He glanced at the screen. It was a number he didn't recognize, yet it pulled at something deep within him. Excuse me, Mia, he said, still holding her tightly as he reached for the phone. Who is it? She asked, her curiosity glowing like the light in her eyes. I don't know, he murmured softly, looking back at her as he pressed the button to answer, an uneasy feeling creeping in. He could tell this call could change everything, a surprise he wasn't sure he was ready for. Hello, Jack? The voice on the other end sent a shiver down his spine. There was something familiar yet unsettling about it. My Mia, could you get your balloons? I think we might need a little magic right now. Mia's excitement bubbled over, but Jack's heart raced as all the unspoken possibilities loomed in the air. What could this call mean for their wish-filled life? Who is it? Mia's voice pulled him back into the moment, and Jack wondered, not for the first time, just how strong their bond would need to be for what was to come. Would they be able to hold tight through the storm? Jack stood frozen, the phone still pressed against his ear. The voice was soft yet compelling, stirring emotions he'd long buried. It's me, Janice, it continued. I'm afraid this isn't just a social call. His heart began to race. Janice was a name he hadn't heard in years, a ghost of a past that he had tried to leave behind. What do you mean? He asked, trying to keep his voice steady for Mia's sake, who was now peeking over at him, her eyes wide with curiosity. I have news and you might want to sit down. Please, can we talk? Jack swallowed hard. He glanced at Mia but couldn't find the words to explain. Instead, he paced the room, searching for clarity amid the storm brewing in his chest. Where are you? He replied, the urgency in his tone unmistakable. Back in town. I'll explain everything, but you need to listen carefully. It's about your mother. The mention of his mother sent a jolt through him. Memories slid through his mind like a film reel, days spent in laughter and voids filled with silence. She had been gone for so long. What about her? His voice cracked slightly, revealing a fissure in his facade. There's something you need to know, something crucial. Can I come over? Jack hesitated, trapped between the urgent need for answers and the warm bubble he had created with Mia. He turned to her, her innocence blazing like a beacon, reminding him of everything he held dear. Mia, sweetheart, why don't you go grab your balloons like Janice said? I just need to talk to her for a moment. Okay. Mia zipped off, her excitement palpable. Jack felt a pang of guilt wash over him. Could he protect her from the chaos this conversation might unleash? Jack, are you there? Janice's voice pulled him back, softer now. I don't want to drop any more surprises, no. Just come. He interjected, his mind swirling with unspoken fears. How could he manage this? The call was just the beginning, a churning ball of fate he had no control over. Shortly afterward, there was a knock on the door. It echoed in the stillness of the room, reverberating like a distant drumbeat. The moment felt surreal, as if time had gripped him in a vice. Jack opened the door to find Janice standing there, her face marked by the years but her demeanor steady, almost reassuring. Hello, Jack. She offered a small smile, but he was too caught up in her presence to reciprocate. Let us go. He motioned back to the living room, where Mia was still blissfully unaware of the storm about to descend upon them. As they entered, Mia's eyes brightened, and she rushed toward Janice, balloon strings flailing like excited ribbons. Hi, do you like my balloons? She beamed, her naive joy like a sunbeam breaking through the dark clouds swirling around them. Janice looked stunned for a moment. They're beautiful, sweetheart. What are you celebrating today? Jack felt a tug in his chest. How could he shatter this innocent moment? We're just together, he said, trying to preserve the tranquil atmosphere. Mia, why don't you show Ms. Janice your favorite drawing? Mia bounced away, eager to exhibit her brightly colored artwork, while Jack and Janice exchanged glances filled with unspoken truths. The pressure in the room thickened. Jack, it's important that I explain. Your mother's situation, what about her? He pressed, urgency enveloping him. Things have changed and I didn't know how to tell you, but you both might need to make a decision soon. He grabbed the edge of the table, the wooden surface pressing into his palms. His heart raced as the pieces of the puzzle began to shift in his mind. What you're saying, does this change everything? Possibly, she admitted, looking into his eyes. There was sadness there, a reflection of his own dread. And just as the air grew heavy with secrets, Mia returned, holding a drawing that showcased a bright sun, laughing flowers, and a family of stick figures holding hands. Look, it's us, she announced, the sunlight catching the edges of her innocence. Jack's heart swelled and sank simultaneously. Could they really hold onto their happiness with such uncertainty looming? Would their wish for sweet surprises withstand the turmoil ahead? He felt the weight of the decision dropping into the pit of his stomach and wondered if everything they had fought for was about to change in ways they couldn't possibly foresee. Jack, Janice whispered, the tension snapping like a strained string. We need to talk about your inheritance. Mia, blissfully unaware of the impending storm, looked up with bright eyes and asked, "What's an inheritance?" And Jack braced himself, recognizing that the journey ahead would demand every ounce of strength he could muster. Would he keep holding on, or would the winds of change tear at their world? Jack sat there, the weight of Janice's words hanging in the air as heavy as a lead balloon. Mia's bright drawing of stick figures, one resembling her, another perhaps him, and a third, unfilled with undefined possibilities, seemed to mock the chaos swelling just beneath the surface of their reality. An inheritance? It felt like a tide rolling in, carrying both promises and destruction. He could almost see the waves of change crashing down, threatening to wash away the sandy foundation he had worked so hard to build with Mia. Mia, he said, trying to mask the tension in his voice, why don't you go and find your favorite toys to show Ms. Janice? Her joy was vibrant, and he wanted to keep that light in her eyes for just a little while longer. Okay, she chirped, bounding off with her drawing still clutched in her tiny hands. As soon as she was out of earshot, Jack turned to Janice, his heart thundering in his chest. What do you mean, an inheritance? Why after all these years? Why come now? Because it's complicated, Janice replied, her face breaking into a look of empathy. Your mother, she left a trust for you, and you're of age now to claim it. But, Jack prompted, fear clawing at the edges of his resolve. But she has also been diagnosed with something serious, and I think you need to decide how you want to handle this with her and with what has been left for you. She finished, sadness thickening her voice. There's a lot to process, Jack. He clenched his fists, the world outside their bubble suddenly rushing back. I've built a life here, he said, voice trembling slightly. Mia is my priority. I know, and that's why I care to tell you this face to face. Janice responded with sincerity. You can't just ignore what's been left for you, it's significant. You need to think of Mia's future too. Jack rubbed the back of his neck, struggling with the weight of the past pressing down on him. And what if it pulls me away from her? From what we have now? The silence stretched between them, filled with the estranged echoes of Jack's childhood and the impending decisions that lay before him. Mia may need security, Janice said finally, her voice softer now. And you're stepping into a role as her protector. This situation could provide that. It doesn't mean you have to choose one over the other. But Jack felt the walls start to close in. Can I even handle this? I'm barely keeping everything afloat as it is. I believe you can, Janice offered, her gaze locked with his. You are stronger than you think, Jack. You've come so far. But you need to choose what kind of future you really want. He glanced toward the door to see Mia, her excitement radiating through every movement as she returned with a handful of toys. What are you two talking about? Mia asked, bright-eyed and innocent, her little enthusiasm a bomb against the uncertainty swirling in Jack's heart. Just some adult stuff, he replied gently, hoping to shield her, if only for a moment longer. Okay, I brought Mr. Fuzzy, she exclaimed, presenting the worn plush toy as if it was a treasure. He wants to meet Ms. Janice. He loves making new friends. Jack felt his heart melt, just a bit. Here was this little girl, with this infectious spirit, bringing light into the cloudy conversation. Janice smiled, kneeling to Mia's level. Mr. Fuzzy seems like a great friend. But tell me, Mia, what makes you happiest? Having Jack here, she said without hesitation, wrapping her arms around him, binding them in a hug. Jack felt the warmth pulse through him, washing away the darkness that had begun to creep into his thoughts. Janice's eyes softened. What a beautiful thing to have, huh, Jack? Yes, he replied, swallowing down the lump in his throat. That is beautiful. In that moment, with Mia's trust wrapped around him and Janice's words hovering, he felt the ground shift beneath his feet. Life had indeed filled him with complicated choices, but the laughter bursting from Mia's spirit reminded him of the kind of life he wanted. Jack took a deep breath, taking in Mia's joyous laughter, brushing away the lingering shadows of fear. He had to believe he could balance it all. However the inheritance unfolded, or whatever surprises came knocking at his door, he had to choose to navigate these storms with love leading the way. And as he looked at Mia, excitement bubbling forth as she showed off Mr. Fuzzy's special powers, he felt the weight of his decision crystallizing. Perhaps he didn't need to choose one over the other. Perhaps it was about creating a new path forward, one that embraced both his past and future, with Mia's laughter lighting the way. Let us make wishes tonight, Jack encouraged, kneeling beside her and holding her tiny hands. Not just for us, but for whatever comes next. Together, Mia beamed, her energy infectious again. Together, Jack held on to hope, feeling the warmth of their bond spread through him. They would weather any storm, face any surprise, and together, they would float through the ups and downs of life just like their balloons, soaring high even when the winds picked up. And he knew that was the magic he needed to embrace, the sweet surprises they would cultivate together moving forward.